Alright, here we go. Silver and gold, silver and gold. All my fuzz pedals are silver and gold. Alright, it's Labor Day weekend, y'all. I've got my shades on because it's the last weekend of the summer. And we're going to wear the shades for a couple minutes anyway. So, if you saw the thumbnail for this, I'm going to shoot out some fuzz pedals. We've got a choice selection of some boutique fuzzes, some custom stuff by people that will make fuzzes to order for you. We've got classic Big Muff, Fuzz Face. We've got a Mythos Hephaestus. I've got a Mark I tone bender that I had a gentleman do for me out in Arizona. I've got, we might throw a rat in there. I've got the Boss FZ1W. We're going to put all these pedals through real amps. And I feel like I got my real amp tone pretty good on the last stream. So there's not a lot of people doing real amps on live streams, baby. But we are, because that's how we work. I want to start this off with a little game. And if there's people in the chat, this will work better. If not, if you're playing at home watching later, I'm going to put this song, play a little bit of a song at the beginning of this. We're going to play through some fuzz pedals for this hour that I'm streaming. And at the end, I'll tell you which one of these fuzz pedals was in this song. But if you're in the chat or in the stream, guess, put it in the chat. And by the end, I'll let you know if you're the winner. You win attaboy or attagirl. That's all you get. You know, if we hit 1,000, I might do a real giveaway. You know, if we hit 1,000 subs. So subscribe. I've been doing these live streams the past few weeks. Haven't been putting out real videos. I got my first subscriber off a live stream yesterday, actually. It's hard to get these things out when you're new to streaming. You know, it's like people don't see them because the algorithm don't push them till you start getting some views. And even if those views come later, that's cool. Hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment. So let's play a little clip of a song with one of these fuzz pedals that we're going to be shooting out tonight. In it is the main riff of the song. And you can guess and put it in the chat which one of these fuzz pedals you think it is. I'm also going to do some things like put it through some effects. I've got a Bigsby pedal where I can make any of these fuzzes an octave fuzz. I've got a Vibe Machine, which is a Univibe dry bell Vibe Machine. We'll put that on some of these fuzzes. We'll do maybe some chorus or some Leslie rotating speaker, some delay, different things with these fuzzes so you can hear how they sound with modulation and different things on them. But let me play this clip of this song, and I'm just going to play a few bars of it. I'll put the video up so you can see what's going on, give you something to look at as well as hear. But here we go. And like I said, by the end of the podcast, I'm going to let you know which one it is. So put your guesses in the chat. Alright, that's all you get. So you hear that nasty fuzz tone right there in that song. That's all me playing everything, as you can see. And if you have a guess as to what that is, put it in the chat. And you'll be the winner if you get it right. So let's talk about this fuzz first. I'm going to talk for a minute. I've got the amp over there on standby, so it's not giving me a lot of hiss through this microphone. But this one, this is probably my favorite, but the sound is so like classic and so unique. I feel like any fuzz pedal, you don't want to put it, put it on a lot of songs. You want to save it for something special. And this is a Mark I tone bender clone. It's a Sound Sounds Mark I tone bender. This is a guy, Johnny, in Arizona, made this for me. Less than $200, and it's a very accurate Mark I sound. I'm going to play this for you. It's one of my favorite fuzzes. Might be my favorite. And I've got, Analog Man, Sunface. I've got Mythos, I've got Boss, I've got the, it's the new big muff like the old ones, but it's a new one. I thought, shit, I'm going to put a big-ass pedal on the board. Board stays here in the studio anyway. Let's put a big pedal on it, right? But this is a Mark I. So I'll tell you a little bit about fuzzes, too. Let's talk about their, what they are. This is a 3-transistor germanium fuzz. Okay, so Mark I's were 3 transistors germanium. Johnny's really cool. We talked the whole time after I put in my order for this pedal. He asked me, if I had any preferences on transistors or anything. I told him, man, just do what you think sounds good. He does a lot of these things. And before he actually sent it out, he tested a couple different transistors in it, different germanium transistors in it, and let me hear them and sent out the one that he thought was best. You'll see a reoccurring theme as I was singing in the beginning. All of my fuzzes, for a long time, they were all gold. Now I've got 2 silver fuzzes too, so they're all either silver or gold, which I think is cool. I like gold pedals and silver pedals. A lot of people do their pedal boards like lay them out like murdered out all black or whatever. I don't really do that. I do what sounds good, you know what I'm saying? And then this one, I'm gonna have to patch these 2 in and put them first, because I had this one, I have my Sunface and I have my Big Muff and my Boss all in a line, and those 3 run good with the Sunface first and the 2 silicon transistor fuzzes next. They play well together even though they're not first. I thought this one would too, but I put it right after the Boss, and if I cranked it up and hit a low E string, it would just oscillate and keep going. When I moved it to first in the chain, it does fine. So even though this is a silicon fuzz, I forget what this is made off of, what the inspiration for this one is. This is the Mythos of Festus. You've probably seen them now. They have a little red one, a mini pedal. That's the normal run of them. This was an early one. This is a Rhett Scholl. It's got his brand on there. I didn't know if they were going to come out with them as a in the regular line, and I heard it on some demo. Maybe it was Rhett's, maybe it was a Mythos thing, Zach, and it sounded killer. It's got this thing, if you got it full up, I'll tell you what it sounds like. It sounds like Spirit in the Sky with it full up. This warning knob, right? It's, I guess, a bias knob actually, but they call it a warning knob. And it sounds like Spirit in the Sky. It's real, that sound, I can't even describe it, but it's that Spirit in the Sky sound full up. But when you roll this warning knob back to about 1 o'clock, something like that, it starts getting this low octave come in. It sounds really cool. And I can do octaves, other ways, but this has a natural thing to it just by adjusting the bias where that low octave comes in. It's a cool sound. And then over on the board, I'm not gonna, pull them off the board to hold them up, but if you see the thumbnail for this video, you can see all 5 of these fuzzes on top of my twin. I've got the Analog Man Sunface, and that's a germanium. He does them in both silicon and germanium. Mine's a GE germanium with I got all the options on it. It has a bias knob, it has top jacks, it has a custom yellow LED light, and it sounds great. Since I'm doing, since this is fuzz pedals, a lot of people don't like certain fuzzes, like a fuzz face with the Les Paul. This Les Paul has P90s in it. I like it with the fuzz face, but For different reasons. The tuning's been a little sketchy tonight. You know, the weather, it was just cooled down all week, got back a little warmer today again, and my tuning on both guitars is actually a little wonky, and my telly is usually always in tune, but it's been being a little tweaky too. But I'm going to start out playing the telly. I might only use the telly. We'll see how it goes, because it does well with fuzz. It really sounds good when you roll down with like that Analog Man sun face. So the sun face is like a vintage fuzz face. Like when they first came out, like when Hendrix played them, they were germanium. Or actually Hendrix, I think, was silicon. But when they first came out, they were silicon or germanium, and then they went to silicon. I told you that the Mark I tone bender was a 3 transistor fuzz for the Mark I. After that, they started making them a 2 transistor fuzz and calling them tone benders. That's also what fuzz faces are. They're 2 germanium transistors. It's a different thing if you get the silicon. Okay, and then the big muff down there, I'm not really sure what's in it. It's either op amps. It's like the classic one. I don't think it's op amps. I think it's transistors, and they're silicon, and they're 4 transistor fuzzes from what I know about them. So you can see that different amounts of transistors creates different sounds with fuzzes, right? And then the last true fuzz on the board that we're going to be shooting out is the Boss FZ1W. This is a really versatile fuzz. It'll do the roll down thing like a fuzz face. It's got a vintage and a modern side. The modern side tends to sound more big muffy. The vintage side does the roll down thing really good. It's very versatile. It's got a tone knob on it that really gives you a lot of different sounds, and if you roll down the fuzz and roll down that tone knob, you can get more in distortion or even overdrive, and it can go all the way up to really nasty fuzz. And then I figured maybe if we have time, we'll kick on the rat pedal, just because that's on the board too. It's more hard clip distortion, but it will also get pretty fuzzy. So that's enough talking. Let's listen to one. I'm gonna mute this mic. I'm gonna turn on the amp, take it off standby, and we'll start with let's start with the sun face. So you might hear a little bit of the amp now because I'm not going to turn it on standby every time I switch pedals or whatever. But that was the Sun Face. Played it. I will kick off the pedal. Played it, you know, all the way up. The fuzz knob's all the way up. With fuzz faces, you need the fuzz knob all the way up or just maybe a hair back or they sound like shit, right? I've got the bias knob, which Analog Man calls it the sundial. It's right in the middle. It sounds great there. There's a little detent there so you can feel where it is. You can get them without that bias knob or it's internal. It's extra to get it on the outside. But it's cool because it gives you more versatility. So you can hear I just rolled down the volume a little bit back on the telly, and that's an old telly. It's from the 90s. It's not real super old like it looks, but it's a 90s 52 telly reissue, and the pickups are a little bit microphonic, quite a bit microphonic, but I like the way they sound. They have that telly twang if you're playing clean or with the compressor. You can play those country licks on it. Sounds great. And a lot of people, you know, consider the ultimate clean tone either a treble booster or a fuzz face like that with the volume just rolled back a little bit. It's like cleaner than clean. It gives you a lot more top end, you know. Next, let's try out the Big Muff because they're very opposite sounding fuzzes. I feel like with these 5 fuzzes that I have, there's like some others that I want. Like I'd like to have a Z-Vex, what's the one, like Fuzz Machine or something like that. I like the really gnarly sounding fuzzes. That's why I like that Mark I tone bender a lot. We're gonna plug that in first in a minute, but I'm gonna go through the ones that I have already plugged in first, and then we'll start patching stuff in. I don't have, you know, $1,000 pedal switcher on my board because I don't really go out and play live. It's a studio board. If I needed to do that and have loops of pedals, I would do that, but we're just playing here in the studio. If I want a different sound, I can patch stuff in. Same way with my outboard gear. If you're on the stream or in the chat, let me know how the levels are. If I need to go up a click or down a click with this Abbey Road preamp, I can do that. But just let me know in the chat and I'll accommodate you, because I dialed in this tone on the last live stream and I got it sounding really good and I was playing with some overdrives. But when you start dealing with fuzzes, you're getting a lot more harmonics and a lot more just dirt and grit. So the level might not be as dialed in as I want, but that's the fun of a live stream is, you know, and I feel like a lot of people, most people don't play real amps on the live streams, and it's definitely easier. My first few, I went with the my digital solution, you know. Or if you do see people playing through real amps, they'll be playing through a head or through an amp and using a speaker emulation like IR because it gives you more control. But the way I record, and this is a studio channel, is the way I record, because this is a studio channel, let me repeat that. I want to show you the way I do things, is I record with real amps, microphones on real amps. And I use, right now I'm just using the SM57, or really it's a Shure 545, which is like a 57, the older 57s, the silver one. You can see that in the thumbnail as well. But it sounds like a 57, you know, pretty much. It's got maybe a little smoother mid-range, but sounds very much like a 57. So I'm going to kick on this Big Muff. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I've been doing these live streams and it's taking a while to get them rolling. Hopefully some people join and chat and talk, because that's what it's all about, interaction. Let me know how you work in the studio, how you play music. Let me know, you know, would you like to hear stuff about music theory, things like this. You know, I like gear. I love fuzz pedals. Like you can see, they make some songs that I do, and I love that gnarliness and that unhinged, you know, kind of guitar sound. And I've got some great gear here. I love gear, but for me, I want to keep this channel, and I feel like I have kept, when I was only doing videos that were you know, not live, where I would edit the videos and things like this. We're still doing that, by the way. I've been so enamored with the live streams and trying to get this rolling. I haven't done it for a while, but I've been doing 3 live streams a week. Usually Tuesday night, Friday night, and Sunday nights. What has been, I've done some Thursdays in the mornings. I'm trying to see what times work good. It's Labor Day weekend, by the way. Happy Labor Day. Happy end of summer. I'm enjoying this cool down for fall. It's got me thinking about haunted houses. Do you all like it cooling down? It's like the summer was brutal. I took my son to Disney World for the first time this summer, and it was great, but it was hot. You know, very hot. Let's kick on this Big Muff and just play a little bit. Alright, so you can hear they're quite a bit different. I didn't work out all those, you know, like cover parts that I did before the stream. Oh well, you know, you can hear the sound. That's what this is about, to hear the sound. You can hear the roll down, not quite as good, you know, on the Big Muff as the Fuzz Face. It's still got some dirt in it when you roll down. I'm gonna try some stuff maybe with the Vibe Machine, Univibe. I wanted to show you this. This is the optical cell that makes the Univibe work, right? So this is a cool thing. I noticed that my Univibe started getting weaker and weaker. I had it for a while, and I would always leave it plugged in anytime I was playing. So a lot of times I'll turn on my studio gear in the morning and leave it on all day, because if you have consoles, things like this, real studios leave their shit on all the time. And it's a good thing to do, really, if you're going to be playing. Just have your stuff, leave it on, right? But these optical cells, apparently, in these Univibes, if you leave them plugged in all the time, they're light bulbs in there, right? So light bulbs go bad. And these, I'll try and show you a little closer up. These in this one, this was a V2 dry bell vibe machine. You can see those little, they look like little LEDs. And they're cool, right? Great sound. But when I got Dry Bell to send me out a new one, the new one, I guess, are like from the V3 vibe machines, and they look more like little Christmas lights. So these look like I have, you can't really see them, but under my amps and my pedal board and different places in the studio, I have colored LEDs just to get vibe in the room. I can change them, the colors, with my cell phone, and I'll switch the colors around from blue to red, any color of the rainbow. You can set these up, and do different effects with them and stuff. And they look a lot like those little LEDs. You've seen the strip lights, I'm sure. Well, this new one that they sent me out looks like Christmas lights, like bigger bulbs. And, it sounded good the first way. I think it sounds a little bit richer with these other, maybe it's just, just in my head, like placebo effect, but with pedals. But those bigger LEDs, to me, it sounds a little richer, and they're what's in the V3 vibe machine, I think. So really, even though mine's the silver V2 vibe machine, it's got the V3 now LEDs in it, or V3 optical cell in it. And this was a very easy fix. It was just glued in, and it has these little spikes on it, which is where it plugs in. These little spikes plug into a place on the board, but you had to take an X-Acto knife, and I had to get some new glue that was made for, you can do different things with this glue. It's not specifically for electrical stuff, but it was some glue that they recommended, and I ordered it. So I took an X-Acto knife, and I cut the glue that was holding this on to the board, and just pulled it out, unplugged it, popped the new one in, put a little glue on the back before I seated it, good to go. So if you ever have a problem with optical cell, if you're into Univibe, you can probably replace the optical cell, at least if you have a Dry Bell, which is, it's a more compact, like a regular size pedal, almost like a Boss pedal, but not quite as high. It's just a, flat square. It doesn't have the big foot switch like the Boss pedals, but it's about that size. It would take up that size on your pedal board, and it sounds, a lot of people like Joe Perry have them on their pedal board. It sounds to me as good as the big vibe, Univibes. They're great, the big ones too, but these have a lot of options on it. It's all I need. It'd be nice to have one of those big, cool ones, but they're very pricey. I think these Dry Bells you can get for less than $400, and they do the thing. They sound good. They've got different settings on there, there's just the regular, classic Univibe setting, and then it's got custom and another one where if you're using overdrive or fuzz, it's more dialed in for more higher gain things. And it's cool. I use all those settings. It's got, I usually leave it on chorus mode, but the vibrato mode in it sounds cool. And even the, what's it called? Cancel function, which is basically using just the preamp of it. It's cool too. It sounds really cool. I really dug it when I first got it. It almost kind of like lowers your output a little bit, but it does a cool thing. So check that out if you have a Vibe machine or a Univibe. Try out that cancel function. It's a really cool thing. And I've got an external foot switch hooked up to it, like a tap tempo. You can also adjust that to where it'll do the ramp up, ramp down thing. Different things you can do with the external foot switch, like the latching foot switch. And with my Bigsby pedal, I also have a latching foot switch, so I can, like in a minute, I can latch it up to a high octave or down to like a baritone. And then it's got a blend knob in it, so you can use it as like an octave fuzz, where you're blending it in with your drive signal, just getting that upper octave on top. Matter of fact, I'll kick that on while we play this boss. First I'll play it without it, and then I'll kick on, when you see me reach over and tap the foot switch, that's me kicking on the octave. So we'll do that first with this pedal, and if you want to hear it on some other pedals, it's cool, man. Octave fuzz is cool. Mythos does like an Argo pedal. There's quite a few people that do different octave pedals, and they're cool. You can just get like an octave pedal without the fuzz. This Bigsby pedal is great because it'll give you half steps all the way up to the octave and all the way down to the lower octave. So I use it. The latency is basically nil. It doesn't affect me. If you work in the studio and you play with plugins, you know, you get used to a little bit of latency, but on this Bigsby pedal, it's basically nothing. I've heard people kind of complain about it, but I don't feel it at all. It's definitely less than 10 milliseconds. I'd say it's less than 5 milliseconds. It's very low. Like, it's very responsive to your touch. When you play a note, you hear it immediately. And I use it a lot for baritone things. Before I had a bass in the studio, I used it for bass. It's not the best bass sound in the world, but it works. You know, you can get a bass part and then play it DI or whatever, and then get it sounding like you want with EQs, plugins, things like this, and it works. I've got a P bass over there, made in Mexico P bass from the 90s. It sounds great. I usually play it direct. That's something else, depending on how much time we have in the stream, how quick I get through all these pedals. I might play some bass direct for you too, because like a Big Muff on bass is killer. I like the Rat on bass. I use the Rat all the time on bass. I've been experimenting with the Big Muff a little bit. A lot of people use Big Muff on bass. I kind of like the Rat better. The Boss is cool on bass. This song I'm working on, if you've been watching any of the live streams, that was actually tracked with the Rat pedal, bass going through the Rat pedal, and then into my 1176 compressor, so it was getting a lot of grit on it, and then going direct as well, you know, doing some things with other distortions on it. So it's a dirty bass, but it's not so dirty that it loses that low end that you need, because if you're not careful using distortions and fuzzes on bass, if you go too hard, crank them too much, sometimes that low end you can kind of lose it. But let's kick on the Boss, and like I said, I'll kick on the octave in a minute as well. FZ1W. You heard me kick on the octave there for a little bit, and then I also kicked on the Keeley I Get Around, which is rotary, Leslie rotating speaker effect. Now, it'll only take me a second. I'm just going to patch in first that Mark 1 tone bender because I definitely want y'all to hear that one. It's a great sound. I'm going to put the amp on standby while I switch the pedals out just so I don't get any kind of pops or anything. Let's play this Mark 1 because, like I said, man, this might be my favorite of them all. And it's the only one that probably doesn't have a name that you've heard of. This guy in Arizona, his name's Johnny. His company is called Sound Sounds. He does a lot of really cool pedals. He's got a like a muff bender where I think it's something like that. He combines two different fuzzes in one circuit a lot of times, and pretty much any classic fuzz. He even does rat pedals with the old school, op amps in them, things like this. I asked him about the rat pedal. I told him I had a newer one. He said, man, the difference is so minimal. You wouldn't worry about it. He was being, he's a real straight up kind of guy. I really dig this fuzz. A lot of these if you did one of the British pedal company, the ones that originally made the Mark 1 tone benders, they're way up there. I think close to $1,000 for the ones that are spot on. Look like the wedge of cheese. Those Mark 1s. They're cool as hell though. I'd love to have one, but this definitely gets the sound. So I've got that I've got that plugged in. Just took me a second. I just took out the fuzz face, the sun face, and I plugged that in. So let's hear that. I'm going to mute the mic again. So you can hear that one gets really gnarly, man. That's why I love that one. It gets real. So it's got a bias knob on it as well, just like a regular Mark I tone bender. Only 2 knobs, volume, and like a bias, right? If you turn the bias way up, it almost gets that real sustainy, violin-y thing, kind of like a Big Muff has. But when you turn that bias way down, even all the way down, I don't like it all the way down where it's like you can't turn it no more, but I like to go all the way down and then just a hair up. And that's where it's at right now. It'll get that really spitty, you know, cool, like ripping Velcro kind of fuzz sound. And it's great. It's really loud in the room. I'm going into the 67 twin, drip edge twin, like the Beatles amp from Get Back. Got this amp fairly recently. Well, about the time that movie came out, actually. One came up at an estate sale, an auction, and they were kind of hot because that movie had just come out like a month or two, a couple months before. So people knew about those amps, right? And this is usually they say they came out in 68, these drip edge twins, but all of the components, the date codes and things on there, I looked at everything, and all of the parts read like a 67. So they're kind of like, this one, the drip edges are basically like a blackface, very much like a blackface amp. They just, you know, that was the transitional period. They changed a lot more in the later 70s, but that amp's killer, man. It sounds like a blackface twin, but it's very clean. So that's why I have to mute this mic every time, because I've got a 1176 compressor on this mic, and if I leave this mic turned on while that amp's on, it's only on 3, but it's on, you know, the input 1 of the reverb side. There's a, you know, it's got like 2 channels. One doesn't have the reverb and the tremolo, the first channel. The second channel does, but that first input is a lot louder than the second input. When I'm recording music, a lot of times in the studio, a lot of times I'm in that second input because I can crank my preamp gain up. I can do things in the DAW to get it up, and that way it's not so loud when my son's back there asleep like he is right now. I've got the door shut. But I found on the last live stream that for that sound, getting the sound right in the studio, that I need to be going in, getting a little bit more volume and not go as hard on the mic preamp, because these Abbey Road Chandler mic preamps get a little bit, they can get really crunchy too. And I'm right on like minus 30 on the gain, which is where I set my 1073 at as well, usually a lot of times, like for vocals, you know. But you get up past that minus 30, or let's see, it actually probably says plus 30. Let me look and tell you exactly where I've got it. Yeah, it's actually plus 30, but it's like minus 30, you know. You're minus 30. It's kind of weird with mic preamps because you're having to push 30 dB of gain into it, but they say it's minus 30. You know, is where your mic signal is coming in. So if you go up one more click to that, it's plus 35, and just till you get to that plus 30, which on the Chandler it's halfway up, but on the BAE it's about 11 o'clock. But they both have the same amount of gain. I think about like 72 dB of gain in them. But once you go one click up past that 30, all of a sudden it starts getting real hot and real crunchy. And you can, you know, a lot of times that's a good thing. Like that's the Beatles' revolution. Is maybe it's even a mic preamp into another mic preamp, but I know they cranked up those mic preamps and it was a DI sound, and they just cranked them up and got the distortion that way, and it sounds very much like a fuzz pedal too. If you're in the live stream, leave me a comment, leave me a chat, you know, chat with me. I'll try out anything you want me to try out here in the studio. We can see if we can get it, you know, get some sounds that you want to hear. Also, if you have an idea about what you think that fuzz is in that song, leave that in the chat. You could be the winner. let me patch in this last one. This is the Mythos Hephaestus. Like I said, if you see if you look up a Mythos Hephaestus right now, you're probably gonna see a little red mini pedal. It's the same thing as this. That's what Mythos says. It's the same thing. But this one came out first. It was a collab with Rhett Shull. It's got the little thing on there. And I didn't know if they were going to make it a production model. I liked the sound of it, so I went ahead and got this one. I think there's only 100 of this one made with the gold box, the bigger pedal. It's not a mini pedal. But they do the same thing. It's a one knob fuzz. The red one's the same way. So I'm going to patch this in. This is really cool. I'll turn it up and then I'll roll it down a little bit and let you hear that low octave come in. If you know what the Spirit in the Sky fuzz is, I think it's based on that one. It definitely has a very similar sound. So. Alright, I'm going to put on my strap for this because I'm going to walk over while I'm actually playing and roll down that warning knob on there and let you hear that roll down. But I'm not going to leave this mic on because it will totally ruin like your ears in the live stream, because this microphone has an 1176 compressor on it. It's the sound I like for my dialogue mic, but if it starts picking up the room sound of this loud ass Fender Twin, it's gonna kill your ears. So let me mute this. This is once again the Mythos Hephaestus. Here we go. Alright, so you could hear when I walked over and rolled down that warning knob, that low octave come in. I played like that for a while. I rolled it down to about 1 o'clock, which is about where it comes in at. And then I played like that for a while, and then I kicked on the high octave of the Bigsby pedals. So you're getting the low octave from the Mythos Hephaestus and the high octave from the Bigsby pedal both blended in. Another way you can do that, you can actually roll in both octaves with the Bigsby pedal itself on any of these fuzzes. So you have your steps down and your steps up, and you can blend them both in on the Bigsby pedal, which is another cool feature of it. So you can be playing like a low baritone part and a high baritone part. You can't blend in the clean with both. If you go low and high octave or low and high baritone, like say you drop it to B like a baritone would be, and then you go on the upper side, go up to B, you're just getting those two sounds that you're blending in together. If you keep one of the sides, like if you go to upper B, you can blend that in with the dry guitar sound, which is standard, or wherever you have it tuned. Or if you drop it down, you can also blend that in. So what I've been doing to get the octave fuzz, I'm going up a full octave and just blending that in a little bit, maybe 50% at most, with my dry, standard tune guitar sound. So that was the Mythos Hephaestus. We've ran through all of them except the Rat. I don't know, let's see how. Oh yeah, we're almost at the hour. I'll play a little bit through the Rat, and then I'll play the full length version of that song that I played at the beginning that you're supposed to be guessing which of these fuzz pedals it was. What do y'all think it was? If you're watching this video later, go ahead and put it in. If you haven't put it in the comments by now, go ahead and do it. This is your last chance. I'm about to tell you that the pedal that was the main riff of that song, it's called Pixel Palm Reader by Thirsty Deer. Go stream it, check it out. Go stream all my music, check it out. It's on all the streaming services. Amazon, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify. I don't know why I said Amazon first. I've got Amazon on the brain. I should have said Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music. But Amazon too. It's on all the places you get music. Amazon. I don't know why I did that. But shit, it's live, baby. So let's kick on, this time, the Rat pedal. I've got it not pushed all the way into crazy distortion, but it's got some, the Rat's pretty gnarly. So the Rat is a hard clipped distortion sound, but it'll get very fuzzy. Let's play that for a minute, then I'm going to play you out with the full length video of that song. So we're going to go just a hair over an hour. Happy fucking Labor Day to you all. Happy end of summer. Summer 2025. Shades on. Hope you all had a good one. Hope you have a good rest of your year. Let's play a little bit of Rat pedal real quick just because we can. It's my live stream, damn it. And let's mute this mic. One more. Alright, so I'm going to shut this amp, put it on standby. Let's play it out with Pixel Palm Reader. And if you didn't get your guess in yet, it's too damn late to do it, because that fuzz pedal was the Mythos Hephaestus for this song. So it's the one you heard right before the Rat pedal. I had it maybe getting a little bit of that low octave, but it worked for that song. I think it's the only song I've used it on. For fuzz pedals, man, you don't want to wear them out and put them on every song. You want different flavors for different stuff. It's actually been in the drawer for a while. I just got it out today, and it freaked me out a little bit when I plugged it in a little bit down the chain, and it started doing that oscillation when I hit a low note. But I plugged it in first. It works fine still. It's just got to be plugged in first. It's finicky like a lot of these fuzzes. Let's listen to Pixel Palm Reader. We're going to roll out with that. Happy Labor Day weekend. Don't drink and drive. Have a fucking great weekend, though. Hopefully y'all are at the lake or doing something fun. I'm making music. I've got vocals on this new song. If you've been watching the live stream, I've got the first verse, like the A and the B section, intro and the first verse done. Still knocking that out. And here we go. Pixel Palm Reader. Here's the video.